Hello and welcome to the Books Crypto Club catch-up on Zoom. We have these meetings every Sunday evening at 7 p.m. till 8 p.m. UK British summertime. And we talk about blockchain, cryptocurrency, DeFi, NFTs, anything else that's in the news really. So we run the session depending upon who comes along. What we end up talking about can vary. Hope you really enjoy it. So don't forget to click on that subscribe, smash the like button, click the notify, do all the other things that YouTubers ask you to do. And hope you enjoy this evening. Let's see who's going to come and join us today. Sam, hello.
Hello.
Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yep, certainly can. Out on planet wherever you are today.
Yes, from a galaxy far, far away.
Yeah, the alternate galaxy of cryptocurrency.
Indeed, indeed.
What's going on then? Anything exciting?
Oh, plenty of things are going on at the moment. Maybe too many things. There's a big debate about the cycle. Is there a lengthening cycle? Plan B has got his stock to flow X model, which suggests that this cycle could continue until Q1 next year. And if that's true, I mean that's just phenomenal growth. But you know, it's all speculation.
Yeah. With Plan B, is that he's just adjusting where he thought the cycle was going to end?
I mean, he's got his original stock to flow, which shows that Bitcoin should reach between like 100 and or well over 100,000 anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Like 100,000 is the minimum, but I think a lot of people now October's come will start to feel a lot more bullish, and you hear the rhetoric of the YouTubers and the technical analysis. And I was looking at an Ethereum fractal, which says that Ethereum could reach like 13,000 within 6 months. I don't know. I just hear the predictions. Predictions are getting higher and higher.
Okay.
It's only been a little bit of action. I think there's only been a little bit of action. You know, it's not. I wouldn't say Bitcoin is filling it at the moment. Like, we're not talking about the biggest insane pump in history, but because that's happened right at the beginning.
It's pumping as we speak. Kind of interesting. Yeah, because I was watching earlier on this week on the 1st, so a couple of days ago, Friday I think it was. We saw this sudden pump where it went up from like just under 45 to over 47 and a half. But if you take a look at what's been happening in the last couple of hours, if we take a look at like a 15-minute chart, maybe might show it better. There is definitely something getting a little bit exciting here at the moment.
Well, the S&P 500's up, isn't it? It was up by 1% today.
Okay.
So you know when that happens, I think you said that sometimes when we do these chats, you notice it goes up.
Yeah.
It's when the S&P 500 is up, and I think I don't know. It's the Asian market. They wake up, and if it's up, they start pouring their money in, and if it's down, they start taking the money out.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all aligned to the traditional markets. So,
yeah. But I don't know if I don't know if you. I've just pulled up the 1 minute chart, and I tend not to look at 1 minutes very often because they're so volatile in that. But you know, in the last 15 minutes, there's been a sudden spike. It went up to 48 to 49. So up $1,000 in a matter of 3, maybe 5 minutes at the outside. And you look at the action that's going on right now, where it's single stepping up, and every single candle, pretty much apart from one in the middle, is going up and up and up. It's very unusual to see that level of stepping up for so many ticks.
Well, the thing is that 50,000 resistance golden pocket, as I think I've mentioned a few times. I watch Satoshi Stacker a lot. He's good at technical analysis on Bitcoin.
Okay.
And he explains all the Fibonacci's and he explains like there's special Fibonacci's, like so for Ethereum, the special like the golden pocket. One of the golden pockets was between $3,000 and $3,300, and for Bitcoin, the golden pocket is it's around the 51,000 dollar mark, but he thinks that it will be smashed through because it was resistance earlier on, and then there was a fake out, and obviously when it was Bitcoin Day in El Salvador, we crashed, and it was bearish a couple of weeks after that. But he thinks that it could be broken. He said within 12 hours.
Okay.
So I think today, he could be wrong, but it's looking like it could be right.
Well, you look at what's going on right now, on the market. Just taking a look on Binance, and you can see it's going up very, very nicely indeed. Now, whether there's going to be a correction, because there seems to be a lot of buys going in at this point. So we'll see what happens in the next few hours, because this is actually happening quite early for a Sunday evening. Usually you find it's a little bit later. As you say, the Asian markets, they're usually between 7 to 9 hours ahead. So it's a little bit early for them to be waking up, but it looks as though it's just settled down around the 49 mark there, which is pretty nice. And be interested to see how low this candle goes now of the sells coming in. And it might just resettle down around about the 48.8 mark or something like that. But the week's been relatively quiet apart from on Friday when there was a sudden spike and it went up several %. And it looks like we're almost seeing a repeat of that now. So yeah, interesting.
For altcoins, even more so though. Like some of my altcoins did very well. Solana's on another run. There was something I can't remember. There's an update on Solana. There's some new development, which is I know. Sorry, Grayscale. They've adjusted their portfolio. 3.5% of Grayscale's portfolio is now Solana. That's made Solana go on a nice little run.
Okay.
So,
I'll pull Solana up in a minute because it's around about the $176 at the moment, I think. Let me just pull this chart up because it's worth looking at this one as well. Because it's certainly, as you say, it's getting a little bit lively.
I bought in at 100. When there was a big problem with their technology.
Okay.
I think it got overloaded with bots. There was like a bot attack. And I think they were doing like 4,000 transactions. I can't remember. It's like a minute or second. I can't remember.
Okay.
But it got up to that, and then it crashed. And when it crashed, its price went down quite a lot. And I thought, right, buying time. So I got in there. So I'm quite satisfied with how it's performed since then.
Okay. Well, if you look at it, until mid-August kind of thing, it was fairly settled, and then it started waking up around about the 15th of August, so the middle of the month, and had a run where it was developing nicely, and then peaked at the $211. Okay, so it's not back to where it was yet, but it certainly looks like it's going up rather nicely at the moment.
It had an insane run, insane. You look at how many people have been made millionaires out of that. It's just amazing.
Yeah, well, you look at it, I mean, from the beginning of this month, I mean, on the first, it was 143. It's now settling down and rising again around about 174. So that's what, a $30 gain? That's 20% thereabouts, is it, or something? So 20% in less than 72 hours. Which compares quite nicely to how much you'll earn on your deposit account.
Yeah, I know. It is a very it's a burgeoning coin. I mean, there's a lot of I think there's a lot of institutional interest in Solana now. So I think at first it just had a good use case. It had somewhat of a natural. If you look at the first kind of upwards curve there at the bottom,
okay,
and then afterwards, that's just manipulation, isn't it? Really.
well, the problem is
like FOMO. Yeah.
You can never really tell as to what's manipulation and what's market interest and what's FOMO. You don't ultimately know unless you're someone who's tracking the actual wallets that are being used. In which case there may be some correlation in some way. But I mean, this is certainly a very healthy rise here. But it's whether it's going to sustain that back to its all-time high previously, or whether it's going to kind of settle down a little bit.
Well, you got to wonder how much more upside it's got, but I think it overtook XRP.
Okay.
So, which is pretty phenomenal.
So this is probably a good example of something where I talk to people about when you're looking at these things, that if we take a look for a minute at this on, say, took like on the 1 hour chart where it looks really healthy, it looks like it's rising and it's rising, and you got green bars in there. Then when you take a look at what's actually happening at the moment within, the 1 minute mark, you can see it's gone past its peak and it's retrenching in some way. So back down to 175. So it's dropped $1 in the time we started this conversation. But it looks like it's got the potential to bounce back again, because the overall trend seems pretty healthy on there. So we'll see where it levels out. But yeah, okay, an interesting one to watch out for.
The trend is your friend until the end, as they say.
Yep, absolutely on that. Have you been looking at any other coins like Ethereum this week?
I've had a lot of interest in Ethereum. I see it's gone to $3,400, and its next major point of resistance, I believe, is 4,000. I think I have suspicions that Ethereum is going to absolutely rip faces, shall we say. I've got a high confidence in Ethereum. I've got quite a lot of my portfolio in it. Okay. I know that the growth has been a bit slow, but it's in one of its kind of accumulation periods. I'd say at this precise moment. So it will going over $3,400 is getting towards where it was before that. When it was like around Bitcoin Day, I think it was around $4,000.
Okay,
that was pretty nice. But I'm waiting for it to do something rather special, to be honest.
Well, it's kind of hit pretty much on $4,000. Looks near enough twice now. It did it in August, just at the end of August, beginning September, when it just peaked 4,000, and it trimmed away again. But it does look like it may well be going through another interesting phase, as you say. But I find Ethereum interesting because it tends not to have so many of these sudden jumps. It gets them occasionally. I mean, you've got one here where it went from 37.7 up to 27.7 to 29. But usually it tends to be a little bit more a general trend type rising one. So it's just a fairly stable one. But it does seem to be accelerating. Yeah. So it seems to be accelerating quite nicely at the moment. So we'll see where that goes.
I saw an ETF, like there are new ETFs that are being suggested where it's not just Bitcoin, it's Bitcoin and Ethereum. So people who would traditionally have exposure to crypto could have exposure to both, because I know Bitcoin is number one brand across the world of crypto, which almost everyone has at least heard of. Ethereum is now getting that wider exposure with celebrity endorsements.
Yep.
So I think the kind of non-traditional investors in crypto, but maybe traditional investors, I think they've got a bit of a hunger to diversify their portfolios for investment with that. And I think that if there's I know if there's a Bitcoin ETF that comes through, it's like the market will go parabolic, and if there's one for Ethereum, but I've got a sneaky feeling that a mixed bag like that could be what sends Ethereum into overdrive. So I'm quite confident on that. There was a analysis by CryptoJeb on a different one, which Cardano has been very slow, hasn't it? Been very slow.
Yep.
He's saying $4 by the end of October, and that would be a 2x really. It's like $2.15, but that'd be near enough a 2x from where it currently is. I mean, if it reaches that'll surprise a lot of people. Like that would be its all-time high.
Okay. Well, I've just pulled up ADA now just to kind of show it for everybody. And yeah, again, it kind of like settled down for a while. It's got this uprising type thing now. But yeah, it looks like peak previously was $3.
$3.15, I think. Around there, I think.
Currently settling around the $2.30 at the moment. So it's got some potential to get back to the original again.
Yeah, I mean, that's I think with Cardano, they just need some of these smart contracts and dApps and what have you, just to start getting like if there's a big one in October that comes on. This is the thing with Cardano. I know everyone thinks it's slow at the moment, but then they're going to keep on getting on Cardano. This is being released on Cardano. That has been released. So you're going to get these nice pumps every so often. They're clearly coming. You know, it's not like with all that marketing and all that. Charles Hoskinson going all around the world, and I think how many hands he's shaking, and he's definitely made an impact on that market. I can't see just nothing happening on that.
But this is where again I keep arguing that the functionality and capability of the protocol does not necessarily reflect the price of the cryptocurrency. Because if you look at how many releases Ethereum's had, and you don't see the price changing that much when there's a release. And it was kind of the same with Cardano, where there was a major release a few weeks ago, and it doesn't seem to have had a significant effect. And I keep trying to say to people as well, the very fact that more and more smart contracts and dApps and all that are being released on Cardano is not necessarily going to shift the price. Unless it's stuff where it's locking up Cardano. So if it's going into like yield farming and it's and it's locked funds, which means that there's less of a supply, then there's actually no reason why having more and more smart contracts on a blockchain platform will affect the cryptocurrency upon which that cryptocurrency runs on, or sorry, that the smart contract runs on. I keep saying it's a bit like if people make dollars or pounds. If you introduce new ways of using dollars and pounds, it doesn't make them worth anymore.
Yes.
And I think a lot of people get confused and they think, well, if you increase the capabilities, you bring in smart contracts, programmability, oracles, all this kind of stuff. People seem to think that should affect the price, but I don't think they're totally correlated. But we'll see.
I agree. It doesn't because you think, well, but the thing is, I can understand the logic in why you think it should. If you've got a mobile, if you think of the original mobile phones, like a Nokia, what have you, and you can play Snake on it, like woo. If you look at a mobile phone now, and they're smart mobiles, and you can do like a minute, it's a supercomputer in your hand, that's worth more.
Yep.
So the logic is, a blockchain that can do more, that should be more valuable. Yeah? So I can understand why people would think that, but it is maybe it's a newbie way of thinking. But yeah.
Well, just stick with that analogy for a minute. And you think if you've got a smartphone and you've got a smartphone with an app on it, say the app's Spotify, and then you get another app on it, which is a crypto wallet. And then you get another app on it, which is Google Maps. And then you get another app on it, which is trainline.com. Then you get another app. The price of the phone doesn't go up with the number of apps that you can run on it. So if you think of an app, kind of is a bit like a dApp or a bit like a smart contract, then the functionality of what is available for you to do with that phone doesn't change the price of it. What does change the price is if it's now got an 8 megapixel camera instead of a 2 megapixel one. So that's a genuine value type thing. Or if it will now, you can use it on 5G instead of 4G or 3G, because they are transformational type things. But in terms of it running stuff on it, and that's all the smart contracts doing on a blockchain, it's just running. It's not changing the underlying functionality in any way. Then it doesn't affect the price of the phone. But we'll see. I may be wrong, and it may be as popularity of the smart contracts that grow, then it will affect the price.
Well,
it certainly will if enough people believe it will.
Yes, yeah. I mean that's one of the crazy market dynamics. The market will often speak for itself.
Yep.
So it doesn't matter even if it's a stupid reason, if people believe it.
yeah.
If people believe it, then it has value.
Completely. I sometimes use the Twitter story. That I say to people, I never really understood the point of being able to type 140 character message and being able to tweet it. Just didn't see the point of that. But with 1 billion users, 1 billion other people did see the point of it. And so it's adopted its use and everything. And it's sometimes the same with blockchain or crypto things. Like you look at something and you go, I do not see the point of that. But that doesn't stop it from happening. It's a bit like I was explaining blockchain to someone in the insurance industry a few years back. And I remember she was an underwriter. And I was explaining how blockchain worked and how it could affect things now. And she said, I just don't see the point of that. And I said, well, that's fine, because it's going to happen anyway. It doesn't matter whether you see the point of it or not. So she had this kind of like King Canute moment of, I don't see the point of the waves coming in, and me going, but you're going to get your feet wet anyway. So
I know. Well, it's like when people say, oh, crypto is just a code, right? And you're like, well, I mean, that's one way of looking at it. But it's obviously not just the code, is it? Like on a very superficial level, like, yes, it obviously is a computer code. There's a computer code there. There's coding that's been done. On another level, what does the coding, what does that code do?
Well, what does it enable? I get it sometimes where you go back to the whole puritanical economic argument about is crypto a currency? And you go, well, okay, definitions of currency, store of value, exchange of value, blah, 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 blah type thing. And you go, actually, let's stop engaging in this and say, you know what, it doesn't matter. What matters is it's being used, and it doesn't matter where it's being used or why it's being used. So a little bit like, I mentioned Twitter a minute ago, but you look at SMS. SMS originally was designed for telecoms engineers to send status messages.
Yeah.
Now, the fact that everyone starts using it to chat to each other, that's not what it was designed for. But so what? Does it matter? And I think in some ways, crypto, it's being a victim of playing by the labels that we currently use. So, is it a currency? Well, does it matter? The only time
in El Salvador.
well, this is the thing that it matters what your government thinks, and it matters what the regulators think, and it matters what the legislators think. But in terms of adoption, if we want to start trading it, but it's not a crypto, it's not a currency because it doesn't follow these rules, whatever, fine. Meanwhile, do you want to buy this Bitcoin?
I see. I mean, I had some. So I had a dinner party yesterday, and I was speaking to some people about it, and I was showing them, the portfolio, gains, etc., from February, and they were quite impressed. And then I was saying, it could be the last 3 months, spectacular gains to be made, and I drew out a Bitcoin super cycle and said, unless there's like a horrible COVID event or some kind of black swan, I can see things going pretty well, as I think most people would concur at this moment. And then they're like, when people see portfolio gains, their eyes open, don't they? They think, oh, I'd like a bit of that. But then because they don't understand it, then obviously, if you don't understand it, then I don't think you actually should invest. So I can understand why, people wouldn't, because I remember hearing about Bitcoin I can remember seeing it on TV when it actually opened. I remember the day. I can remember the day, and then it was like, oh, you can earn these coins by. It seems like it was playing games, like at the beginning, and I was just like, this is crazy. I can remember thinking, oh, this will never take off. And now here I am, 10 years later, inveterately interested, and how I wish I'd been more interested back then, because I could have had life-changing wealth. Anyway.
If we could go back in time, I'm sure we'd have all dived in and offered to sell someone a pizza for a few million Bitcoin at some point.
Yeah, that guy's a legend, isn't he, on YouTube? Like, I don't know how rich he is, but I think he is significantly wealthy. So, like, that guy, yeah, I don't know what his name is, but he's got that famous YouTube video, isn't he? Like, I'm a millionaire because I bought a pizza or
Yep.
something like that. So, yeah, he's obviously done quite well. But then you see people. I saw this YouTuber. There was a meme the other day on a crypto group, and it was this guy who was I've put it was either Dogecoin or Shiba Inu, and now I've put X amount of money into Shiba Inu, and I'm going to be, multi-millionaire. And then 3 months later, it shows you I've started a job as an Amazon warehouse assistant.
Yep.
But that's the thing, isn't it? The greed and the FOMO is real.
Yeah, yeah. But it comes back again that it ties in with what you're saying about understanding stuff and that just like Twitter, I didn't get Twitter. I didn't see the point of it, but that didn't stop it from succeeding. So I'm quite happy that with the crypto space, you'll get some people who say, I don't see the point of it or I don't get it. It's like, well, that's okay. But the rest of us are on the journey. If you don't want to be part of it, that's fine. And you've got the thing about, where people talk about, oh, you should understand stuff before you invest in it. And I go, well, I kind of get that. But do you understand the stuff that you currently invest in? And this is always like a dinner party conversation, which gets a bit entertaining. Yeah. Where you say to people, do you know who owns your money when you deposit money into a bank account? And you get the horrified look of, well, I own it. It's my bank account. No, it's not your money. You've actually loaned the money to a bank and it's now a debt. It's no longer your money. And then you say, let's go a bit further on that. Do you ever use a bank to transfer money? And they go, oh, yeah, of course I do, make payments now. Do you understand how that works? And they go, oh, yeah, I'll go onto my phone and type this. No. Do you understand the technology behind how a bank transfer works? Whether it's a SEPA payment or a faster payment or a CHAPS payment or whatever. And they go, well, not really. And you talk them through some of the ways, and they didn't realize how it all hangs together. And it's not actually coming out of your bank account and going into the other bank account, that kind of thing. So a lot of the time we do use things that we don't actually understand how they work. We just think we do. And this is with crypto. That's like half the time you don't need to know how it works. You just need to know that it works. I completely understand what you're saying there. I don't know. It's just it's a funny beast. Like when I first got into it, the only reason I got into it is because I'm very keen on fitness and UFC, and Joe Rogan was talking to Snoop Dogg, and he was saying, "Oh, Dogecoin, it's made 18,000% gains, and it's still going up." I thought, "Oh, I wouldn't mind a bit of that." So, as a demographic in the crypto market, there's a lot of similarity. There is much of a muchness, mostly male, mostly between 30 and 40, apparently. Mostly risk, willing to take risks and etc. So I do think I just fit into that particular bracket. And also, I was watching Coin Bureau, and he'd done an analysis of the average educational levels. And he was saying you actually just need to be quite educated just to do the simple things of getting the apps, like on your phone. And no, I'm not saying you need to be Albert Einstein, but my God, you need to be patient. I remember when I got my first app, which was crypto.com, before I got Binance, and it took them ages to verify my picture. It took them ages. I had to be every day I was checking. But some people just think, oh, I can't be bothered anymore. And they'll give up. But that is actually not a reflection of the difficulty of crypto. Because what you're actually doing there is exactly the same KYC checking that if you applied for a traditional bank account, you'd get.
Yeah,
so it's actually it's the KYC side of things that goes that slide. What it certainly used to be was the very fact of, okay, so I've got to install a wallet and then I've got to create the seed phrase, and then I've got to do this, and that was complex. The complexity is gradually being worn away. And once we get to the point where it is just a matter of installing a bit of software and off you go, you know, that's kind of good. And that's where, you know, the likes of crypto.com, Luno, Ziglu, Swissborg, all of these, where they are definitely developing things that are easier and easier, and taking the difficult stuff away. But it's interesting, as you're saying there, that a lot of people who are complaining about how difficult it is, it's actually not the crypto bit which is difficult. You know, so as you say, that the KYC checking, and I've had the same with the facial recognition and all this kind of stuff, that maybe them just not using very good capabilities there. But then equally, I've done some stuff. I had a real humdinger with a bank recently. They've just upgraded their software, and the aggro factor of trying to reactivate my account was every bit as bad as any crypto experience.
Yeah. I mean, I think like when I first got that crypto.com, at my partner was just like, how can you trust them with your passport? I hadn't even thought about it. I thought, actually, yeah, that's quite a good point. You know, like, because the thing is that in the press, there's obviously a lot of negativity, isn't there? There's a lot of FUD. That's and I do wonder if there's collusion in that sense, because like when crypto goes down by 10% or 20% one day, that is always reported.
Yep.
You know, was it reported in the popular press that we had a 10% pump? Never. So it's always negativity, isn't it, in the mainstream press?
News is typically bad news. You know, but in fairness, when you look at mainstream media, most news tends to be bad. And I keep explaining to people as well that news tends to be bad, and also it's only news if it's a change. You know, you never see a news item of something is exactly the same as it was yesterday. It's always something changed, something. But yeah, you're right. They tend to focus on the bad. That was the thing a few years back. I remember there was just after the 2017, 2018 crash with Bitcoin, where it went from $20,000 down to 8,000 or whatever. I remember the press had a field day on that, saying about how people had lost millions of dollars in that, whereas a lot of them hadn't. It was simply that they hadn't cashed out when it was at its peak. Yeah. So they were still ahead, but they were reporting it as though they'd actually lost money.
What the press doesn't understand is that volatility is where the opportunity is. You know, every single time there's been a dip, I've just put, I've invested, and it just works so well. It's just such a simple Warren Buffett recipe, and you know that volatility is your friend. It really is. You know?
The other thing as well is that in any marketplace, and you know that's what crypto is. It's a marketplace. That anyone who agrees to buy something at a certain price means that there's someone else who thinks it's worth selling at that price, and vice versa. So if you've just sold out and you've lost a load of money because the price has dropped, it probably means someone else has just made a load of money. So
yeah, that is true. That is true. I think people always think of with markets, I think a lot of people find it very hard to think outside themselves, what they're doing, and what So it's the individual. It's always about me, Western society. But obviously, in a market, you've got to, and what are most people willing to do right now? How can I be different, to them? So I'll try and take that tack. And I don't know. I think a lot of people are wise stuff, and they do buy the dips anyway. But I think people are new to the space. They see their life savings go down by 10-20%, and they just panic, don't they? Like, oh no, what have I done? I thought it was going to go up all the time, and they've gone all in at a very high point, and they end up losing. Technically,
but if you take a look at the trading data, I think typically in crypto, it's just over 80% of people lose money over time, which actually is almost exactly the same as in the traditional stocks and shares market. If you go to the likes of eToro, they used to do seminars on how to use their platform. And that they would admit, they'd say, you know, over 80% of our customers lose money. The problem is that everyone thinks they're part of the 20% who don't.
Yeah.
And so all that's happening is that 80% of the market is funding the profits of 20%. And you've got that old, I can't remember the saying, I think it was Warren Buffett who came out with it, about the stock market is simply the tool that transfers money from the foolish to the wise. But I'm probably doing that a disservice, but it was something along those lines.
Yeah, I mean, his favorite one is, you know, be greedy when I was fearful and fearful when I was a greedy. I'd say that's my, that's definitely my maxim. I did particularly well when Bitcoin went down to 30,000, like 29,000. That's when I just threw my money at it, really.
Okay.
So it's gone. You know, you think where Bitcoin is now. That's why the trajectory's that's been good. But yeah, every single time it's dipped. I mean, so I've got a little bit in stable coins, but not very much. But I just tend to just throw monthly salary in at those times. Okay. So whilst it might look like only a relatively small part of my portfolio, I've still bought very valuable coins at a discount price for that time. Okay. It's really paid off. I mean, look, I'm not saying it's genius. It's just a simple accumulation strategy on my point.
Well, this is the thing. I mean, I've just pulled up the Bitcoin chart, and we kind of look at the daily's fairly stable at the moment. But if you look at it as a longer term type thing, you know, it does tend to be. If you think about it, it means that if you've held since the beginning of this year, if you bought at the beginning of the year, you are ahead. It's just a matter of by how much. So you look at like beginning of January, it was round about the 28 mark, as you say. And this is where I've had a conversation with a few people where we've gone through a few dips, which, you know, you keep seeing the stories of, oh, Bitcoin's crashed and the market's crashed. And I keep saying, well, no, the market hasn't crashed. The price has gone down. But, you know, if you started the year and it was at 28 and it's now at 48, that's not bad.
So very, you know, it's much better than what you get in a government bond, that's for sure.
Yep.
You know, those very slow yield government bonds.
Yeah. Well, I think someone did an analysis a while ago, and they reckon that if you bought certainly into Bitcoin and you held it for at least 4 years, then it doesn't matter at what point in time when you look at this chart, you can pick any point on this chart and project forwards to now, certainly. If you've held for at least 4 years, you're ahead. But then
even from the high points, I think if you look at the high point of the last 4 year cycle, you look at the high, and then if you just go from high point to high, or like even high point to like lower points.
Yep.
Or 4x gains.
Yeah.
In 4 years, and again, you wouldn't get that in a traditional banking system because inflation and interest are just dead set against you. You know, so like in that respect. So it's just patience. I think very hard for people to zone out and look at a long-term time frame. I mean, you've got to have belief in the market, you've got to have a belief in their technology, and you have to have a belief that other people will believe. If you've got all of those things, and then you just have a confidence in the market. Like I think we was talking 2 weeks ago, and so I was like, oh, he just doesn't care. There's a 20% dip one day. Doesn't care. I'm just taking that mindset on. I don't care anymore. Great, throw some more money in. I mean, that's the psychology like I've got towards this market. But I'm really looking forward to just seeing how this pans out over the next 4, 8, 12 years. Very, very interesting times ahead.
Yep. Yeah. And I think that's the thing. It'd be lovely to have a crystal ball where you can actually see where we're going to be in a few years. But then if you had a crystal ball where you could do that, you'd be very well off indeed.
Extremely so. But like the things, it's like, I mean, we've been talking about Bitcoin because obviously Bitcoin leads the market, but you know, the major parabolic gains are not to be made in Bitcoin anymore.
Yep.
You know, it's the rise of the altcoins, isn't it? And it's a very competitive market actually. So these altcoins, they have to find better and better use cases. And you get to a point where you look at the like from 30 to 50, and they're very similar amounts, like extreme. It's like a Premier League table, and you got like that mid-table hustle, and there's like 10 different spots, and they're only like 2 points apart, and you know, like these that range there, because I'm very interested in crypto.com. I think I'm very into use case. And I think like crypto.com I've mentioned it before in other in like times before with you and I, so it might be a bit repetitive, but I think because its marketing has been so good, and I think that's a very important part of crypto. You've got to have solid marketing.
Okay.
But it's also got very good use case in that it's developed like several different apps. So you've got it's got a DeFi wallet. They've got a crypto exchange, and you've just got the main app which you purchase crypto through.
Okay, so there we go. We got Crow, as you say.
Yeah.
But be interesting.
And the staking you can do on there is really good as well. And if you buy their coin, the crypto.com coin, and you stake on it, and you can earn good DeFi rewards. But I mean, someone put something on UK Crypto today, and it was just about I think it's 12. They offer 12% APR just for stable coins, USDC.
12% on a stable coin. Okay.
Yeah, per annum. That's just bonkers.
Yeah.
You know, like where's the risk? There is not. Just leave that in year on year.
But that might be the thing, that ultimately an interest rate reflects the risk. And for it to have such a high interest rate, is it that there's a systemic risk? Is it that people are worried that whatever the fundamentals are behind it, you know, like the company or what's held in reserve, that there might be challenges with that maybe? I don't know.
The things with stable coins is that they're, at this moment in time, most people don't have their money in stable coins, do they? When a bear market's in, that's when the stable coins become extremely popular. So, like, I'm just trying to think, like, I mean, they have to use fractional reserve banking techniques, don't they? There's no other way for those stable coins to operate, unless, of course, they're backed by gold. And actually, I was going to mention Cardano. I was watching BitBoy, who's not my favorite YouTuber, by the way. I was watching him, and he was saying that Cardano is going to have a gold-backed stablecoin.
Okay.
And that seems like, I think I've spoken to this before about Pax. Is it Pax Gold?
Past. There's been a few which have been gold as an underlying asset.
It's a good one to use when the crypto market dips. So again, I was watching Coin Bureau, so if you just keep like 10% of your portfolio in Pax Gold, when the market dips, then like Pax Gold rises in value. So as the rest of the market's dipping, that will rise in value. You can use that money you've kept in your Pax Gold to then reinvest into the coins that have dipped.
Okay.
So seems like an intelligent technique to me anyway to use. But I think when we spoke, I might have spoken to you or someone else, but not too keen on cryptocurrencies that are linked to gold. You'd rather is it the real thing you like? Like, is that what you prefer?
Well, I think that's a conversation I've had with a few people that they kind of get a little bit upset, really, that when you start linking it to gold, you're almost just turning it into a traditional currency in a way. And there is the whole thing of, do you want it linked, do you not? I mean, it's always the problem about stable coins. You know, what is the coin stable against? You know, is it stabilized against the dollar, or is it stabilized against an asset like gold? And everyone has quite different views, but I think gold in particular tends to be quite polarizing in people's mindset. It's very much a Marmite thing, that people either like the idea or they definitely don't. I'm not hung up by it. You know, I think it's definitely an option.
It hasn't appreciated well over the last 10 years, but if you think about 10 years ago, we were just recovering from a financial crisis, and Like when that financial crisis hit, was it 2007, 2008?
2008, 2009, I think, was the what was known as GFC, or the global financial crash.
Yeah, so that's when you think gold would have been at its high point, right? So if you're comparing it to 10 years ago, by 2011, the economy would have started to recover.
Mm-hmm.
So the gold price would have gone down. So maybe it's an unfair comparison to say, oh well, 10 years ago, gold because I think on Coin Bureau saying if you had put $1 into gold 10 years ago, it'd be worth 95 cents now. Whilst if you put $1 into Bitcoin 10 years ago, I don't know, it'd be a lot.
Yep. Yeah.
It'd be a lot of money. So there's I know there's a lot of debate about gold versus Bitcoin, and they call Bitcoin gold 2.0. So like I'm don't get me wrong, I'm not massively keen on gold per se. I'm just interested in crypto kind of trading strategies within your portfolio to maximize maximize profits. So that's the kind of angle I take. But I mean, we've got to think about what's coming next year, and I'm so confused. At first, I thought it was going to be inflation. I started watching Alessio Rastani. Then I thought it was going to be. Then he's saying it's deflation. I thought there was going to be a massive recession next year. Seems that there's been like a COVID surge in the economy, which maybe might delay that now by another 3 months. So maybe 2022 isn't going to be the gloomy dark swan that I thought it was going to be. It's all just so uncertain, So
it's bizarre that the only thing that is definitely increasing is the degree of uncertainty. It's bizarre. This is why it's sometimes worth looking at things like the VIX index, which is that they call it the fear index, and it's kind of a fear and uncertainty and volatility thing. It's like when COVID kicked off. I thought, oh, that's going to adversely affect oil prices, and something really crazy happened with oil. I think it tanked or something, and it went down when you would have expected it's gone up. And then when you think, okay, so everyone's off work, there's future instability, there's jobs going, that means there's going to be a housing market crash. No, property prices have carried on rising in that. You got the thing in the UK last week or last few days, the government's furlough scheme has just finished. So that means that a load of companies that were taking state funding to subsidise paying the wages have now lost that funding. So I was expecting some horror stories of massive redundancies being announced. And there's been a few, but nowhere near as many as I would have expected. So I think what's likely to happen is it's not going to be inflation or deflation. It's going to be stagflation, because you're going to see rising prices, and we're certainly seeing that with a number of things, particularly with the fuel crisis not helping. You're going to see rising prices and increasing unemployment, and that's a bad combination, and that then could lead on to other things.
It's just when that unemployment's going to kick through, because things are like, to address the white elephant of COVID in the room, things are more normal than they've been in a very long time, right? I mean, I don't know what your experience is. No one's wearing masks anymore. People shaking hands again.
I have not been into London in over 18 months, and I went into the city on Thursday, and I was actually quite surprised because it was far busier than I expected on the tubes and that kind of thing. But I would say at least 90% of the people were wearing masks, which kind of almost surprised me, because back home where I live, mask wearing has definitely dropped away. But what I found fascinating was that I spent some of the time going around London. So on the trains and tubes, everyone's wearing masks on public transport. Everyone's wearing masks on the high street. Then I went to this crypto event, not a mask to be seen apart from the staff of the hotel. So all the hotel staff were wearing masks, and you've got, must have been 350 or so people at this crypto event, none of them wearing masks, all shaking hands, hugging, everything was normal. It's funny as well, how last year the buzz phrase of last year is, I think you're on mute. Well, the buzz phrase of that event was, I haven't seen you in a long time. Because no one's seen anyone for 18 months.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I really don't know. So I think, mask wearing, definitely on public transport in London, is still there.
I mean, depends where you are in London and what, so I got a bus in to work the other day. My motorcycle was in the mechanics for now almost 2 months because I can't get the parts because of supply crisis. So that's very telling. I've never had my, I usually you'd be in there for a day, yeah, and like they just can't get the parts to come from China. So there's definitely a post-Brexit issue with the supply chain, and like obviously the petrol issue is indicative of that. But you'd expect, with that, you'd expect some stock exchange action in London to surely start pointing downwards. But the stock market just like don't care. like major world economy, like one of the most important financial players in the world, they literally can't. All right, we've got fuel. We can't get to the pumps though because there's not enough HGV drivers. So there is a fuel crisis, but it's related to the drivers or etc. So, and yet nothing.
You saw the same last year, that when COVID started being recognized as being a big deal and was declared as a pandemic, and countries were locking down and people were staying at home and isolating for 2 weeks, and the NASDAQ, the New York Stock Exchange, the London Stock Exchange, it was as though nothing had happened. The prices of stocks and shares were still operating normal in that, whereas you would have expected that would have been a precursor of, this means goods and services aren't going to be sold, so the market's going to go down. So I agree. I think the real world, in inverted commas, just bears no resemblance to what's traded on the exchanges. Same with crypto.
I was speaking to Hussein, and he thinks that the narrative for price action, like the price action comes, and then market analysts try to fit all the news around the price action.
Yep.
Yeah. And then, but it doesn't. I don't know. Does that make sense?
it does. I've even proved it. I did a joke diagram last year, I think it was, and it was Bitcoin's price over 12 months. And I mapped out all the highs and all the lows, and I was able to directly correlate that to news items on the BBC about major football events that had happened. So it was, I just chose that as a random thing. So, where Bitcoin peaked or something, it was like, where, choose a famous footballer or whatever, transferred to another club, and then it dropped down, and I could prove that was because there was a news announcement about Aston Villa doing something or whatever. It was all completely uncorrelated whatsoever. But it showed how, if you want to, you can always explain past performance.
Yes. Funny you say that, actually, with football. I think West Ham have they've got some new relationship with some form of crypto somewhere. I was watching Satoshi Stack the other day, and he was talking about West Ham being one of the major clubs in English football. And I thought, not according to me, mate. But anyway, so he was. But it seems West Ham have got a relationship with crypto. And on that note, I know I was waxing lyrical about Fulham and World Mobile Token. You know how easy it is to look at the wrong price of the wrong token. So I went to Google and spent how much. I wrote how much World Mobile Token worth, and I was looking at the wrong price. Yeah, so it was a World Token I was looking at.
Okay.
World Token had doubled, and then I started looking. I thought, wait a minute, that isn't the that isn't the marketing design of World Mobile Token. I've been looking at the wrong one for like literally 3 or 4 weeks. Okay. So I thought, oh my goodness, how can I make such an elementary error like that? And then I looked at went to Reddit, and there's no price action for World Mobile Token yet. So even though you could trade it, you could send it to different wallet addresses on Yoroi, I'd like Cardano wallets. There's no price action yet. I think I was reading on Reddit, you have to wait until December to see which way that's going.
Okay, so they're not listed on any exchanges yet then.
They're listed on CoinGecko. There's just no action to see. So
okay.
I don't know quite what the deal is there, but I'm just going to stay patient, as it often is good to do in the world of crypto. Stay patient.
Yep.
And just see where it's going. So I will report back in December.
That'll be. But you're right about how you do need to be careful to make sure you're looking at the right thing. And I've seen that sometimes, even when you're looking at Bitcoin. You might inadvertently look at Bitcoin Diamond by mistake. That's an easy one to do. But I've done it in the traditional finance markets. I remember, I think I had some Ryanair shares at some point, and what I hadn't realised is that Ryanair, at the time at least, had multiple listings. It was on I think it was on the London Stock Exchange, and it was on a European exchange somewhere as well. And I hadn't realised that broker had gone through. I'd actually placed my buy order on a European exchange. And it wasn't until I noticed it was priced in euros instead of pounds or something. It's like, I wonder why that is. That's unusual. And then realised I'd actually been trading Ryanair shares, but on a different exchange from the one that I thought I was on. So but it's certainly easy to make mistakes on that. So what was the one on, you say on CoinGecko?
Yeah, World Mobile Token is listed on there, but I was looking on, is it Coin Marketplace? And I was looking, I wrote World Mobile Token, and World Mobile came up.
Okay, because I can see there's a World Token and there's World Coin on CoinGecko, but there's not a World Mobile.
Yeah, wait a minute, let me see if I can. World Mobile Token. If you just put World Mobile Token into World Mobile Token, let's have a look. I just did a quick Google search the other day, and sorry, just doing that now on my phone, trying to anyway. Let's see if it actually works. Okay, let's have a look. Right, CoinDesk. No, I just can't find it now. So I might be wrong again. I might be wrong about being wrong. But yeah, I thought I've got on CoinGecko. So if you just write World Mobile Token, just those words.
I tried that.
Yeah, and it says World Mobile Token preview only.
Okay.
That's what it says. So,
has it got a symbol?
Yes, it has a symbol. I don't know if I can. I'll just copy and paste the address. I should be able to send it in the message format.
Yeah.
So 1 second, right in the chat, and here. Right, here we go. There you go. So it does have that is the correct one, but when you click on it, all it says is preview only.
Preview only, yeah.
So there's nothing to see here, Gov. Unfortunately.
Yes. Yeah. Well, that kind of ties in with the question I was asking the other week about had it been listed. So clearly they're getting it ready, but it isn't on there yet. So okay, well,
by all accounts, the company's doing really well in Africa. It's been adopted by a second country in Africa. So I know it was in Tanzania at first, but I know there's been adoption of it in a second country.
Okay.
I'm surprised it just hasn't been covered more. Like they spent a lot of marketing. You think they're on the front of Fulham's shirt. That must have been expensive for them to get that bit of exposure there. So I was expecting like just wider marketing, but it just hasn't seemed to have manifested. No Cardano analysts talk about it.
Okay. Right. Well, maybe it's going to be something that once there are some use cases coming through, as you say, about the African market, that's when you'll start getting some announcements. or alternatively, when it starts appearing on a few exchanges, that might wake it up. So, okay, right. Yep. Sam, interesting chat. It was just a fireside chat with Sam so this evening. So what we'll do, it's 8 o'clock, so we'll close this off for now. Stick it up on YouTube so everyone can watch it. So if anyone watches this afterwards, and I was surprised that at the crypto events on Thursday, several people actually came up to me and said, "Oh yeah, I actually watch your YouTube videos of the events that you run, but I can't come along on a Sunday evening." So for those who are watching afterwards, great. Don't forget to subscribe, click like, blah, blah, blah. But Sam, thanks for coming along. And
thank you.
Be safe, wash your hands, and we'll meet again.
Indeed. Goodbye.
Cheers. Bye for now then.
Bye. Bye.